Happy Lunar New Year, folks. I hope you're doing well. In my recent video, I looked at the Tamron 35-150 f2 to 2.8, and I was struck by how great of a value proposition this guy is. It's lighter than the alternatives, it's versatile enough to cover wide telephoto, and it's been incredibly popular since its release back in 2021. It's a lens that became a favorite for Sony and Nikon shooters who want an all-in-one zoom. In fact, I got loads of comments from you guys that it's had been, pretty much glued to your camera since you picked it up, and that it replaces several different lenses for you. So now Tamron has just added another option to the lineup, maybe the worst kept secret of 2026. It's this guy, and thank you to Tamron for letting me get hands on with it a little bit early. It's the 35-100 f2.8 constant Di3 VXD. Now, let me just get it onto by itself so that we can get a nice comparison here to the bigger guy. Now, whilst the focal length sounds similar compared to the 35-150, in my opinion, they're very different beasts. First off, this guy is exceptionally compact. It's around 12 centimeters when it's closed, and it weighs about 570 grams. Well, it's around half the weight of the 35-150, which comes in at 1.2 kilos-ish. It uses a smaller 67mm front filter thread instead of the 82 on the big guy, and the optical design is much simpler as well. 13 groups, 15 elements versus 18 groups, 21 elements. That means that this lens is much easier to carry. It's got the constant f2.8 across the entire range rather than the variable. And I think it's going to appeal, honestly, to a different group of people. Who is this likely to be for? My guess is, in terms of pros, maybe event photographers who need flexibility, who don't find themselves using the long end too much, and in terms of amateurs, maybe people who just want an all-around walking lens to, especially if you're on holidays in the city. The difference in weight really is significant, and it's going to still add up. So portrait photographers, whether pro or amateurs, are going to appreciate that this still goes through to 100 and that it's got quite smooth bokeh. And of course, travel and street photographers will love that it's so compact. Importantly, like the 35-150, it's available for E and Z mounts, which is great. Now, this guy then obviously sits alongside Tamron's existing 28-75 2.8 G2, and there's significant overlaps there that I think are really worth noting. Now, both of these are designed as compact, lightweight zooms, and both around 550, 575 grams, and they're in the same kind of price ballpark as well. The construction also very similar, moisture resistant, fluorine coating. They both have 67mm front filter thread, which makes them great as a kit. But of course, you're not likely to get the 35-100 and the 28-75. So what's the focal length strategy here? I think 28-75 gives you a classic wide to standard coverage, which is maybe more of an overall general lens. So landscapes, interiors, general purpose shooting. And the 35-100 sacrifices on the wide ends in exchange for significantly more reach into portrait territory. 100mm is significant compared to 75. So in practice, I would say the 28-75 is going to be more of an all-rounder, more of a traditional lens, and that this guy's a little bit more specialized, aimed at portrait, event, and travel shooters who still want that portability and want to be able to separate their subject out from the background better than they can at 75mm. So I think together they show Tamron's push to offer lighter alternatives to the heavier 24-70 and 70-200 2.8 type lenses that gives us a choice between versatility and, compact design. Now, the overlap between this and the 28-75 may make it hard for you to choose, but actually I think it's pretty straightforward. For me, I see this guy as a better option, as I said, for walking around travel type lens in the city. better than the 28 to 75, for me anyway, because I regularly find myself wanting extra reach, but I don't find myself needing to go super wide all the time. Now, I did get a chance to take this guy out to the end of year flower markets here in Hong Kong for a quick first test. I'll show you some little footage and some images here just whilst we're chatting, but I'll also give you some downloadable sample files that you can download and pixel peep for yourself. TLDR, I think the lens is nice. It focused fast, it was light and compact, no problem to carry around all day, and the image quality is really pleasing. It's sharp and contrasty without being clinical at all. I really felt like the reproduction was quite natural, and the bokeh was not super buttery. It was satisfactory, and I think for this kind of application, totally fine. I did notice, however, that the maximum reproduction ratio isn't great, especially on the tele end. Wide, you can focus down to 22 centimeters or 8.7 inches, but on the tele end, it's 65 centimeters or 25.6 inches. Actually, this kind of lens would be great for indoor portraiture. Here comes an awkward and clunky segue. Like in my newest course, Small Spaces Intimate Portraiture. That's not actually true. The 28 to 75 would probably work better for that. But anyway, check out my new course. It shows you how to create unique and captivating intimate portraits in small spaces, like your own home or a hotel or a rental. I shoot with 5 fantastic models, each with completely different themes and styling and lighting and overall shooting process to create unique images all in the same space. It's live to stream or download immediately, and you can see full details on that below. Back to the 35 to 100. Comparing it to the 35 to 150, the trade-off I think is pretty clear. You lose the extra telephoto reach out to 150 mil, but you gain significant portability, lighter weight, and a lower price point. The smaller construction means it pairs nicely with their 16 to 30 and creates a nice 2-lens kit that covers ultra wide through to portrait length without breaking your back. So kind of interesting. We always had 14 to 24, 24 to 70, 70 to 200. You're now having so many different pairs and trinities that you could pair up. Now, a couple of downsides. Well, the 35 to 150 is an f2 to 2.8, so it sounds like you're losing a full stop of light at the wide end with this guy, and technically you are. But note that f2 on the big guy, it only lasts until about 40 mil when it jumps to f2.2. At 60 mil, it jumps up to 2.5, and by 81 mil, you're already up at f2.8. That footage came from my last 3-way comparison with this, the Samyang and the Sony 50 to 150 with dance shoot with Hana, and that is currently going up at the behind the scenes of that one, and an intimate shoot with Hana is going up on my Patreon page. You can see details on that below. Also, comparing these, it is a huge amount of reach. 100 versus 150 mil is significant, but it just comes down to what do you want. Constant 2.8 compact design, the fast autofocus, and a nice price point means I think this is probably going to suit maybe even more people than this, because whilst this is great, it is a lot to lug around for a full day of shooting. If you're comparing it to taking a 24 to 70 and a 70 to 200, it's a no-brainer, but as a kind of just casual shooting lens, I think this is going to fit the bill for a lot of people. Now, one other thing that Tamron is announcing that hasn't leaked yet is this teeny tiny little guy, and I haven't actually tested it because I think this is just the dummy, but this is a new wireless accessory for the Tamron Lens Utility and iOS. Basically, it's a Bluetooth 5.4 dongle that you can now enter into the USB-C port on your lens and wirelessly apply the updates that you've previously been doing via the USB cable. So if you're deep into Tamron lenses, that could be a great addition to the kit. As far as I know, that guy is going to be sold separately, so if you want that, you'll need to purchase it, and then it should work with the rest of the range that have the USB-C update port. So in the end, which lens is going to suit you best? 28 to 75, 35 to 100, 35 to 150, or the traditional 24 to 70? I suggest jump into Lightroom, check your metadata for the typical kind of day of shooting, whether you're looking at doing sports or a wedding or just travel photography. Go to one of those days that you've done in the past and see what focal lengths you actually use. It's surprising how often you think, well, I think I shot around 50 all day today, and then you find, oh no, I was actually down at 24 or way out at 70 or at 85 for most of the day, and that will help you guide what's the next item that will best suit your needs. Now, personally, I'm just happy to see more Tamron glass making it to the Nikon Z mount. I'm sorry, but not surprised that we aren't seeing this come for Canon, but that's probably a topic for another video. Now, I have this guy for a few more days, so let me know what you would like to see it compared against, head to head, or if you have any other questions for me. Make sure you check out the sample files below. You can pixel peep them. I shot those on the Z8. And also check out my new Small Spaces Intimate Portraiture course that is live along with Patreon. All my details are below. Hope you guys are having a great week here in Hong Kong. It's a holiday for Chinese New Year, so everything's so quiet and peaceful, and I can catch up on a lot of things, so it's been really nice. Yeah, let me know how I can help. Any questions you have, I'll see you guys soon.